there, Andrea Moranville here, Sweet Life of a Baker. Tonight for dinner I am making chicken and dumplings. We love having stews and soups during the fall. And today's it's beautiful out, but it's a nice, you can tell fall is here. It's in the low 70s and it's cooler and fall is definitely in the air. So my daughter has been begging me to make chicken and dumplings in our house, and so that's what we're having tonight. Last night we had baked chicken, an easy baked chicken dinner. Today I simply took all of the chicken off the bones. I had thighs and legs and bone and breast, and I took all the chicken meat off and I simply put it into a stock pot with 2 boxes of chicken stock. So it looks like a soup right now. It basically looks like a soup broth. And I have the chicken and the broth in here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw a bay leaf in also to add some flavor. Now, what I have going on over here is I'm going to be sauteing up celery, carrots, and onion. Okay, these are based with about 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Now, this is basically the base of a chicken soup. So it looks very similar to what I would be making as a chicken soup right now. So I'm also going to do some carrots. So I've got carrots, onions, celery. I'm just going to pre-cook these because it will make my dinner night a lot quicker. Could I put this right in the soup if I was cooking it all day? Absolutely. I'm just going to chop some carrots. I'm going to show you how I chop my carrots. And we grabbed these carrots from our CSA, and they look a little gnarly, but you know what? They're going to taste just great. And sometimes that's the best part about getting produce. Now, if you notice, I'm not even peeling the skin off of these carrots, because these are organic carrots and I don't need to peel them. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to give them a quick chop, and I'm going to put them right in with my onions, peppers, and carrots. I'm sorry, my onions, celery, and now if you notice, when I put the celery in the pan, I put the leaves, the entire stalk of the celery in. I did not remove it. Now all I'm doing is, it's already starting to smell really, really great. Now, if you notice, all I'm doing here is doing a rough chop. I'm not being very dramatic. I'm just making sure my thumb's not in the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start cooking these. I'm going to let these finish cooking in the broth, but I just want to show you how easy it is to do a quick soup. I'm not cooking chicken today. I'm not cooking I'm not cooking a soup broth. I use box chicken stock, and I am just going to go ahead. Now, if you noticed, I have no seasonings here yet, other than the bay leaf. I am simply using basic flavors, and then once the flavors start to come out, I will see how much salt it needs, maybe some pepper, maybe some garlic, maybe a little celery salt, but I don't want to add too much seasoning from the beginning. I have no bouillon cubes, I have no any type of flavorings. I'm going to finish chopping these up, and then I will be right back. Alright, there I am back. I just finished cutting the rest of the carrots, the remaining carrots, and I put them into my pan here. Now, they're already started. The celery is going to get tender, obviously, a lot quicker than the carrots. The idea here is not to cook them in its entirety. You could, and for some recipes I do, but this is more to speed up the process for tonight. Here, let me lift you back up. This is to speed up the process tonight, because I don't want to be standing at the stove all night. Or I guess if I was going to say, if I started this earlier today, which I should have, I could have let these cook in here all day long. But because it's now in the afternoon and I'm a little bit of a pinch for time, I'm just going to par cook these and then put them right into my soup here. Now, could you stop here at this point, add seasonings, and have this be your chicken soup? Absolutely. This could be a chicken soup that you could use for the rest of the week and portion out for the week. Now I have in this specific recipe, and that's the other thing about this being a very versatile soup, you could have as much chicken, as much vegetables as you want. I, for example, in this specific recipe, have about a cup of celery, a cup of onion, and probably 2 cups of carrots. Could I use more or less of any one of those vegetables? Absolutely. I just chose, that's what I had at the moment, and that's all I had left for celery. So I just wanted to finish it up. But yes, this could be the base of a chicken soup and the end of a chicken soup, and that could be good. I am going to be making dumplings as well to go along with our soup tonight. So we'll be having chicken and dumplings and then a nice salad to go along with it. I have been using the exact same dumpling recipe since this is probably one of the first recipes I've cooked for my husband. So I've been using the same Betty Crocker cookbook recipe for over a decade. And it's never failed me, and I still use it. Now, I am going to be using white flour for my dumplings tonight. We typically don't use white flour very much anymore, but I'm going to use white flour tonight just because, well, I feel like it. So it's Friday night, what the heck, we're going to get all wild and have white flour. That's okay. So I'm just going to show you really quickly, and then I'm going to show you how I make my dumplings and how I make them in the broth. Now this is obviously boiling now, and I want to turn it down so that it's simmering. I can go ahead now and I can put these vegetables in, but I'm not going to do that because I want to show you really quickly while I'm doing this how I make my dumpling recipes and how I actually make my dumplings. If you've never made one before, they are probably one of the easiest things to make, and they're filling and they're delicious. So I'm going to tip you down here so you can see, and I'm going to bring over my ingredients to show you exactly how I make it. Now, I have in this bowl 1 cup of flour. This is probably going to make 6 large dumplings, or I could make 9, 12 smaller dumplings. But I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour in here. You could use wheat flour, you could use einkorn flour, probably it might have a different texture to it, but for this purpose I like the white flour. It's going to be fluffy and they're going to be delicious. Okay, I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Again, this is the Betty Crocker recipe. So 2 teaspoons of, I don't add the oregano that she uses in hers, I just use the parsley. So I have 1 full tablespoon of parsley, dried parsley, and I have half a teaspoon of salt. She calls, her book called, the Betty Crocker cookbook calls for a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm just going to add a little bit more salt to these because if you've noticed, I have not added any salt to my soup. So because of that, I'm going to add a little more salt to the dumplings. Now, we are a dairy-free home at dinner time because my son has a dairy allergy, and I'm not going to make everything that everybody else can eat and something that he can't. So at most recipes that call for milk in my house, I substitute in almond milk. So these are going to be dairy-free almond milk dumplings. So I have a 1/4 cup of almond milk and 1 egg. And I just beat them together really quickly before adding it into my dry mixture. I'm going to give my dry mixture a real quick stir, and then I'm going to add my liquid. That's it. Now you don't want to overmix when you're making a dumpling, or you're going to have very dense, just like with anything with flour, the more you mix, the more the gluten is going to interact. Once you add a liquid to a flour, that's what creates the gluten. So the more you mix, the higher gluten, more dense it's going to be. That goes for baking, cookies, cupcakes, everything. That's it. That is my basic dough. I'm kind of getting stucky here. Let's see what's going on here. That's the dumpling dough. It's right there. All right, a little sticky, a little goopy. And now what I'm going to do here is I am going to clean my fingers first because I obviously made a little bit of a mess here. I'm just going to show you how to make 1 dumpling. I'm not going to make them all right now because I want to make them right before dinner. But I'm just going to show you. I probably should have used a fork and not a mixer here, but that's okay. That's the best thing about cooking and baking is that it's trial and error sometimes, and you don't have to have everything on point all the time as long as you're trying. Could I have bought a pre-box mix to make dumplings? Sure. Is it going to be clean? I mean, granted, I'm using white flour, but it doesn't have a lot of preservatives or anything else in this. This is just parsley, a little salt, a little baking powder, and the flour. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute because I don't need to add this in. Here's the thing about making a dumpling. I'm going to take a scoop, however big I want the dumpling to be. It is not going to end up this size. It is going to bloom, and it's going to get much, much, much larger. Once I put, I'm only going to make 1. Once I put this into the sauce, into the soup pot thing here, I'm not going to throw it in. I'm just going to very gently kind of drop it in a little bit. Okay? You're going to do this. Let's just say I was going to make all my dumplings. I would scoop them, scoop, drop, scoop, drop, scoop, drop, put the lid on, and I'm not going to touch this for 3 minutes. As much as I want to check out the dumplings, and as much as I want to see how they look, The reason you leave the top on is because even though you're going to be flipping the dumplings after 3 minutes, the top is sealed in, and so the warmth is cooking the top of the dumpling, even though it's floating to the surface, and the bottom is in the liquid. The top of it is still cooking because the top is on. If you take the top off, you're going to lose all that steam, and all the top is not going to cook as evenly. So I'm going to pause you, and in 3 minutes I'm going to show you what it looks like after we flip the dumpling. Okay, I am back. I just took the lid off. It's been about 3-4 minutes. And I just want to show you after 4 minutes what it looks like. So you can see it's gotten much larger. Now, what I need to now do is cook the other side. So you're going to flip it. So you're just going to take it in the broth, you're going to flip it, you're going to put the top right back on the soup pot, and you're going to keep it there for another 4 to 5 minutes. Probably about 4 to 4 minutes. Tip you up so you can see me a little bit better here. Okay, so typically chicken and dumplings is served with gravy, right? I'm not doing that tonight. So we're going to actually have our gravy with our soup, or I'm sorry, have our dumplings with our soup. So we'll have a bowl and we'll have our chicken soup, and then the dumplings, however many portioned out. We have 2 or 3 per person, probably 2 for the kids, and my husband will probably have 3 and I'll have 2. Per person, and that will be in the soup. So, you know, we're not going to be pulling out the chicken and pulling out the vegetables and having it with a thick gravy like traditional dumplings are served with. We're going to have a much healthier version, but it's still going to be delicious. It's still going to be satisfying. It's still going to be a nice comfort food dish. This, if you notice, vegetables, broth, chicken, and then a little bit of dumpling. So this is not an unhealthy dish. There are no preservatives in this. There are no packets of seasoning. Other than the sodium in the broth and the salt that I added to the dumpling, very little sodium. This is a very healthy dish, you know, in reality in comparison to alternatives to this dish. I hope you like this. We're going to have a great chicken and dumpling dinner. Oh, you can see, I just want to show you real quick again how bigger this has gotten. If you looked at how much I took out of that when I first measured, in comparison, let's see if you're going to tip this down here, in comparison to how large it is now, it is a much larger dumpling. Now this is not completely done, but because this is a test batch, I'm going to show you. See, it's going to be nice and light and airy and delicious, okay? Oh, hot. That was not smart. I just burnt my mouth a little bit. But that's okay. I'm fine. Delicious chicken and dumplings, and we're going to have a yummy tasty dinner. Hope you liked it.